Today on Faith Matters, Leslie Widmer joins us for an episode of Someone You Should Know. I'm Seth Weber, and you're listening to Faith Matters, a podcast designed to help you think biblically in matters of the Christian faith and update you on matters of Faith Bible Church. Well, thanks for joining me, Leslie.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
Start by telling us about where you grew up in your childhood.
I was born in Boise, Idaho. I spent my first 9 years of my life in Boise, and that was a huge season in my family's life because my parents were new believers, first generation believers.
Wow.
So growing up in Boise, I have a lot of memories about that and going to church, and that was really huge for my family. So, but then we moved to Spokane when I was 9.
Okay.
And so this has been home.
Well, tell us some fun memories from your childhood.
Okay. Well, there were 6 of us, 6 kids.
Okay.
So we had actually horses. So it was fun. We'd ride horses. And I think my favorite memories, though, because I'm a winter person, was sledding. We were wild. It was so fun. And then we'd come in, warm up, and go back out. And now I see why my mom was so great about having snacks, making sure our clothes got dry so we could get back out there. 6 kids, you want them outside.
Yeah.
So it was so fun, really fun. My mom was a great homemaker, really made it wonderful.
Tell us about education. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Meade High School,
Okay.
Go Panthers. And that was a fine experience. And then after high school, I worked for 1 year at a jewelry store, and then I met Tim, and we got married. I was 19.
Okay.
So then I did do Bible school later.
Okay.
At Inland Empire School of the Bible.
Very good. Very good. How did you come to know Jesus?
Well, like I said, my parents were first generation Christians. They were very zealous. So we heard about Jesus all the time. And I just remember I had a spiritual sensitivity since I was sensitive that way. Mm-hmm. One particular thing that happened that really made me realize God is real is I had felt bad for a man that had come visiting our church. He was an older man, and he was unkempt, and I just felt like, who's going to care for him? And he wasn't well. And so that night when my mom was tucking me in, I said, I'm worried about Mr. Gardner was his name. Mm-hmm. I can remember it still. And I was like 6 years old. And she said, if God put that on your heart, then you need to pray for him. So I just started praying for him. Mm. And a few months later, my mom said, are you still praying for him? And I said, yes. And she said, God is taking care of him. They found a home for him, and he was going to be in this care facility. And she said, God hears our prayer. And I was like, I am in on prayer. I am in on God. But I mean, really, what a great way for me to have a real experience of understanding who God was. And obviously, lots of growing has gone on since then. Actually, yes, I think when you come to know the Lord at that young age, it's hard to understand all that you have received. Mm-hmm. And so it's just beautiful as you get older, and God allows you to go through things that show that you need him in other ways, and your patterns where you really need him and you have a tendency to want to sin or do your own thing. It's just, he's so gracious. But it was so beautiful as a child how he showed me that. And prayer has always been huge in my walk with the Lord. Wonderful,
wonderful. What a beautiful story. So tell us about how you met Tim and that story there.
Okay. I grew up going to Fourth Memorial Church.
Okay.
And then when I was in like 6th grade, we had a Sunday school bus ministry in the olden days to Fourth Memorial.
Okay.
And we lived outside of Meade, and my dad felt like the children in Meade needed their own church. So on my mom's 40th birthday, he bought a church.
Wow.
And we started this little church in Meade. He was a lay pastor there for like 7 years. And Brian and Lonnie Levi-Hauser, my parents led them to the Lord. And Brian was his assistant helper, and he ran Sunday school, and it was awesome.
Wow.
So they did that. But so then when I graduated from high school, my dad said, you probably need to go where there's more of a college group, a group your age. Mm-hmm. So I went back to Fourth, and Tim was actually leading that group.
Nice.
And that's we reconnected then because I'd known the Widmers growing up.
Okay, yeah.
But he was a little older than I, so I was friends with his sisters.
Okay.
So then after Tim and I got married, after I had been worked for a year at a jewelry store, we got married. And then Tim finished school in Spokane. We moved to Sprague, Washington, where he got his first teaching job, which was a month before we had our first child.
Wow, okay.
So that was exciting, yeah. There was one house to rent, so we moved into that house, and it was a beaut. And so during those years in Sprague, we actually went to the Sprague Community Church.
Okay.
It was awesome. God was so gracious. All these young couples our age, raising kids, starting families, and God knew what he was doing because the women out there taught me how to make everything from scratch.
Wow.
And when we went to Venezuela, I had to do all that. And so that was really awesome. And they were just really kind with me. The older farming women taught me all these things and how to get organized so it was really awesome. And our church was wonderful. We had all these young couples because in that time we had Sean and then we had Aaron. So we had what we thought was our finished family before we went to Venezuela. And then God surprised us with Travis when Sean was 14 and Aaron was 12. So then when we were in Sprague, that's when we got to that point where we'd been there 6 years and had decided it's either stay and move on and find a place where we want to move on and with our family and stay, get a little more grounded in the States, or is it time to go to the mission field? And that's when Dave Belch called us.
Okay. Tell us about how you ended up on the mission field and then how you ended up back here in Spokane.
Wonderful. Okay. As a child, growing up, my parents had missionaries in our house all the time. I had an uncle, my dad's brother, who was a missionary, and we always would send little packages to them and talk about their ministry. And my parents really were mission-minded people themselves and always sharing the gospel and so that was always part of my mindset. And then when I met Tim, he was a teacher, and about 6 years in, we were like, this is the time, because we had 2 children then, this is the time we're either going to settle in or it's time. And Dave Belch called Tim, asked him if he could meet with him. They were home on a Christmas winter furlough, and we were living in Sprague. Dave was in Spokane, so they met in Cheney at Zips, and they had lunch and talked about it, and that was... By that next August, we were at Team at their headquarters, getting training, and we were ready. God had us ready to go. He had prepared our hearts, and there's always need at these missionary schools. So, and we spent a year. The first year, though, we did spend in Costa Rica learning Spanish, which was good for me because I thought I was more ready than I was, and God taught me a lot of really life-changing lessons there. And I was so thankful he was so gracious not to make me do that in front of all the people we were going to work with for the next 10 years.
Did you teach there as well?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I actually helped the school as the school hostess. So when the missionary kids' parents would come in, I'd make sure everybody had a place to stay. And often to always, we had somebody stay with us, which was so fun. That 13 years, that was a season of it was so wonderful for both of us because our gifts were used. I mean, it was just, God was so gracious. It was just the perfect, I loved that ministry. It was just awesome. But so then I worked as hostess for the school, took care of the visiting families, and I also would have Bible study in my home with the Venezuelan women.
Okay, wow.
And that was pretty awesome. And I actually had a professor who was a believer who taught at the college there who said she'd help me teach it, but she didn't have patience for the one-on-one of going to their homes. And I said, that's right in my wheelhouse.
Nice.
So she'd teach and I would do the one-on-one, just visiting, checking in, praying with them, seeing just how they were doing. It was, and then we also, when you're at the school, you take a class from their freshman year to their senior year and just do their birthday parties. You take them on outings. You're just kind of there for them. And so we did 2 of those classes. And the second time we did it, the freshman to senior, was our oldest son, Sean, and Michael Belch. So that was fun.
Oh, fun. So tell us about how you've been involved at Faith Bible Church since you guys have been back from the mission field.
Okay, I've done Sunday school, and I did mom life for a couple years. Right now I'm mentoring 4 younger women in the church. It's really a joy to do that. My desire is that I can help them not waste time. Don't waste the years. And I pray with them. We read scripture. We just talk about life and where your struggles are, and let's find out what God's word says, and let's change. So that's what I'm doing right now. We have a small group that we love being involved in, a small group. And I think and I've done missions things like at women's Bible studies, and I've gone to women's Bible studies, but earlier on when we first came back, I did a lot of the missionary spotlights for the women's Bible studies and things.
So what has God been teaching you lately?
God has been teaching me so many things, but I would say one of the first things over the last few years, he's been teaching me, and then I just finished studying Ephesians on my own, how awesome it is to be part of his church family, his family in the world, but how awesome the church family is. I had a great family. I was married into a really great family, really tight. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I need God's church family, and I want to give into it as well as I receive from it. And I think that has been really good for me. And God has been teaching me, you need to step out and do what I ask you to do and trust me to help you, because I'm not always really comfortable doing one-on-one. I feel like, there's so many people who know so much more than I do. But God has really impressed on my heart, you be obedient, I will supply what you need. And he has been super faithful.
Wow. Awesome. How can we be praying for you right now?
I would love prayer for wisdom as I help these young moms come alongside. I mean, Tim and I both, we just love people. Mm-hmm. We love people. I want people to be encouraged in their faith. I don't want them to look back. I just want them to keep their eye on the prize. And so just pray that I'd have wisdom and encourage people in that way. And so I would continue to be faithful in the word and in prayer.
Great. Cats or dogs?
Neither.
Pineapple on pizza?
Yes.
Pets?
Never.
Favorite book besides the Bible?
Island of the World.
Nice.
It's the best. Everybody should read it.
Favorite band?
Well, I'm going to say favorite artist right now. I just was introduced to Ben Rector.
Okay.
And I'm loving him.
Nice.
I mean, for secular, I know it's not always the best, but I just put that caveat there.
It's okay. God can display his glory through artistic works by non-Christians too.
Exactly. That gift would be greatly used for the Lord's work if he was walking with him.
Favorite movie or TV show?
Okay. I'm going with my heartwarming While You Were Sleeping.
Nice.
My son-in-law hates it and I love it.
Best surprise gift you've ever gotten?
This year's Christmas present, hands down, I got a diamond ring.
Wow.
We don't do diamond rings, but it was sweet. It was the best surprise.
Nice. Was there was it an anniversary or just for the heck of it?
Well, he actually said to me, you've had an interesting, harder year. And he goes, I just wanted you to know I noticed and I love you. And I just thought, that was so sweet.
What a good husband.
Yes. Our daughter started crying too.
What would you do with the extra time if you didn't have to sleep?
I would read all night long.
What kind of books?
I like history. I like spy novels. I'm not into science fiction ever.
Okay.
I like that as much as I like dogs and cats. So, but I love any kind, I'll read books. People give me books and I'll read it. So.
Nice. Favorite place to eat out in Spokane?
Well, I haven't been to Wild Sage yet, but I think that would be my favorite. Everyone tells me it would.
You have to go there. It's really good.
Okay. But for now, I would say we love to go to Twigs. It's fun because it's fun.
Well, Faith Bible Church, Leslie is someone you should know. And thanks for joining us, Leslie.
Thank you.